If you call yourself a centrist, I just know you know nothing about politics. And you're just simply coping. You're probably a right-winger in disguise, let's be honest. But you might also be left-leaning, but you definitely lean somewhere. And I recently made a video against so-called chud culture, which is essentially just bigotry. Like a lot of this bigotry, Nazi bullshit that you see on the internet with guys like Nick Fuentes, my favorite Mexican. And someone commented, both the right and the left are cringe. Both you guys have your problem and need to leave normal people alone. The classic, both sides are bad argument. Mind sharing some more of your enlightened centrist wisdom? All jokes aside, this is exactly what's wrong with politics right now. You have a whole movement of young men on the internet worshipping Hitler, being misogynists, bigots, racists, all that type of shit. And I make a video speaking up against said misogyny, racism, homophobia, Adolf Hitler and Jeffrey Epstein sympathizing weirdos. And I'm supposedly a weirdo too because we're two sides of the same coin. Isn't that what stupid centrists always say? Both of you guys need to leave normal people alone. If you ask me, I'm the normal one. The person saying, how about we don't worship fucking Hitler? If you ask me, I'm the normal person here, okay? Because I'm speaking against insanity. It doesn't matter if you're rather conservative or not. Bro, these things are so bad, you need to speak up against it. You should oppose bullshit that's poisoning the youth. This reminds me of when people try to say that Antifa on the far left is as bad as Nazis on the far right. Like Trump literally calls them a terrorist organization. But guess what? If you're not a Nazi, you don't have to fear Antifa. Antifa beats up Nazis mainly, if they even choose to beat anybody up, because a lot of the shit that they do is just vandalism and shit. Antifa literally only exists because Nazis, fascists, and white supremacists exist. And most of the time, they don't even beat them up. They dox people because by releasing personal information about their opponents online, they pressure employers to fire them or venues to cancel their events, for example. Or they disrupt far-right events, which in some cases involve physical altercations, but most of the time it's just things like property damage, if it even escalates. But statistically speaking, violence from the far right is much more prevalent and it's much more extreme. And they don't just go after Antifa people. They kill random people minding their business. They set asylum homes on fire. And some fucking stupid pseudo-enlightened centrist will say, oh, they're both extreme. Extremism is always bad. And similarly, you have these dumbass centrists in my fucking comment sections telling me I'm just as bad or just as cringe as literal Nazis. You can't make this shit up, bro. Someone will deadass look at me and Nick Fuentes like, Nick Fuentes is cringe, which is correct. But then this guy, me, is criticizing Nick Fuentes and calling him out. I can't tell the two apart. Bro, you fucking retard. Just shut the fuck up, honestly. And this whole cope about, oh, I'm not on the left, I'm not on the right. You know, I'm so much smarter than y'all. You know, I see through it. And politics is just a game. It's not about left versus right. It's about down versus up. You idiot. You are just saying what leftists have been saying for decades. You're saying what Karl Marx was saying in the 1800s. That is so leftist coded. If I gave you a survey that had, let's say, 200 questions, from that survey, I will be able to clearly see whether you lean left or lean right. And there is a spectrum. You could be more conservative or less conservative or whatever, more left, more right, blah, 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 more libertarian or more authoritarian. That's why we have things like the political compass quiz on the internet, right? Mine looks like this. I'm left leaning. And for yours to look like that, to just be in the middle, is very unlikely. And even if you do get that result, which is very unlikely, then if I gave you more questions and you had a more detailed survey, then we could see whether you lean left or right. No person is truly a centrist. And honestly, have some fucking backbone. When you see something that you are against, then oppose it. It's okay to take a position. You don't have to be a fucking fence sitter all the time with this delusional perspective of yourself where you think, oh, I'm actually so smart. I outsmarted everything. The guys on the left are crazy and the guys on the right are crazy. It's okay not to be a fence sitter, right? Have that fucking fence up your ass because you're sitting on the fence all the time. Bro, just own your opinions. Honestly, I would rather talk to somebody who's conservative and who's like, you know what, this is what I believe in, this is why I believe it, than somebody who's like, bro, the left and the right are cringe. Oh, God, so-called quote-unquote centrists, they don't exist, but quote-unquote centrists are insufferable. It's like they're trying to sound smart, reasonable, and mature, but they just sound stupid. I can tell you haven't done your homework. If you don't know anything about politics, then just shut up. Shut up. You don't know the left and the right. If you really knew the left and the right, you would position yourself somewhere within the spectrum. I'm a normal, sensible human being, a decent person for speaking out against these fucking losers on the internet, these chuds. And they are the deranged ones, okay? You understand? Or was your pea brain struggling to comprehend that? And it's not just words. Rhetoric affects public sentiment, which affects who gets voted, which affects policy. Like, I can give you guys an example. In Germany, the far right is just gaining more voters by the minute. And it's just alarming how much this propaganda works on people. And honestly, if this continues, we're cooked. Even with this bullshit going on, right? I still try to see positive things in life, but this is kind of a doomer YouTube channel, right? There's a lot of other people who have YouTube channels like this, and it's just doomers or Gen Z doomers, talking over gameplay and just talking about how things are cooked, and a lot of people can listen and they can relate, right? This is kind of a YouTube channel like that, but instead of sitting here and being like, oh, modern women and the dating market is so fucked up and the economy is so fucked up, which is true. The economy is really fucked up and a lot of things are fucked up. But this is another reason why. It's like we make steps forward as a society and then we're just being held back by this conservative bullshit, the alt-right pipeline bullshit. You see it in my comment sections as well. People take pride in being a chud. People take pride in being an open racist. They think it's edgy. They think it's funny, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, I'm not going to sit here and waste my time and continue making hit pieces on Nick Fuentes and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to waste my fucking energy just talking to these chuds, talking about this bullshit. But I will say that whether you consider yourself right-leaning or left-leaning, you should oppose this fucking bullshit. Like, I don't care if you believe in certain things, if we differ in opinion on certain things, but as soon as you step into that territory where you're dehumanizing other groups of people, stuff like that, yeah, that's when we have a problem. And that's where I don't fuck with you. And that's what we need to get rid of. Like, I'm open to having conversations about certain things like mass migration. If you say that mass migration has no effect or no negative effect, then you haven't really thought about it or you're just being disingenuous, because obviously, yes, there's pros and cons to it, right? To even something like mass migration. And I'm open to talk about it. Some of the pros are the economic boost that you get from migrants coming into your country and working. A lot of these Western countries don't have a birth rate that's high enough, so they don't have enough young workers. Everybody's getting old, so they have an economic stagnation. And migration helps that, as well as overall productivity and innovation. Globally, inequality also decreases. Let me remind y'all that countries like Belgium and France have exploited and destabilized countries in Africa. Now, these Africans are going to Europe for a better life, which decreases inequality, and you get cultural exchange, which I think is awesome. But when migration is too rapid and too massive, then parallel societies can form. Language barriers, value clashes, stuff like that. Welfare systems can be strained if employment integration fails. Again, if integration fails, right? If these people integrate, then they're great for the economy, which is an argument that I like to make against conservative people, because they just want to see these people benefit society. They don't really care for the humanitarian aspect of migration, but me personally, I don't like to just be like, yeah, they help the economy. They help the economy. Like, that's not the main reason why I think we should bring people in. I'm humanity first. I'm not my country first. I want people to be able to move to other countries for better opportunities and to live the lives that they want to live, which includes work by default. They're leaving their countries because their economies are bad. They want better opportunity. They want to live a better life. Or they're coming from countries that are straight up getting bombed. They're risking their lives on the way to Europe. They're not just doing that to leech off the government. They're doing that because their countries are genuinely oppressing them or getting fucking bombed to oblivion. And even if they want to move to Europe to leech off the government, let's be honest, most of you motherfuckers hate your jobs and you're jealous of those leeching off the government while you're a wage slave. Like, shut up. Statistically, most of them don't even do that shit, just leeching. They work, they boost the economy, and don't commit crimes. It's very few people that do. And also, most of these Western countries like Canada, America, England, Germany, France, if you took all the migrants or non-white people out of the country, their country would collapse. Are there difficulties and cons with migration? Yeah. Are there pros? Hell yeah, you just heard them. And we can talk about those. But I'm not going to talk to you about those if you're just being a racist. There's a difference between criticizing migration and having legitimate points and just being a racist. Like, the statistics do not even support a lot of the bullshit that these people say. And a lot of these people are not intellectuals. Not at all. Not at all. I'm not even saying you have to necessarily be this crazy intellectual to understand statistics, but they cannot even do that. And they have huge platforms and they spread their bullshit and the youth is eating it up. And even some grown-ass men, like when I say the youth, I'm not just talking about fucking teenagers. I'm also talking about grown-ass men. It's embarrassing. Another thing that I have to say is that if you don't speak up against bad things, you are complicit. Like, a lot of centrists are just not educated. That's why they can't really form an opinion. And instead of just saying that, they want to have an opinion so bad, so they pick the one that makes them look smart. Like, you know what? I'm in the middle. Honestly, I don't see much hope, because what happens when these young men don't grow out of it and these guys end up being central figures in politics and people are voting for this shit and we completely regress as a society? What is going to happen then? And there's a lot of evidence that history repeats itself, and whenever you have a movement of one side, it usually swings back the other side. I've heard of things like that. I would just find it embarrassing for humanity to have to learn those old lessons once again. You know, like, do we really need to relearn that racism is bad? Can we not learn from history? Do we have to relearn that misogyny is not okay? Homophobia is not okay? Like, when do we grow out of these things and progress as a society? I don't know. And this is the part where I don't see much hope. And even on a much larger scale, you have imperialism in the modern age, right? You see how Donald Trump is moving. Let me take this country. Let me take that country. Let me pretend like I'm freeing this country, but whole time I just want to exploit their resources. I actually think they're shithole countries, and I say it all the time, and it has no consequences. I can say it out loud. Like, it's wild to me that this is going on in 2026. Are we going to progress as a society or not? Like, this one guy in my comment section said, I'm a chud incel, but I hate both left and right. I just want to live in a peaceful world where people aren't assholes. And I actually agree with the last little bit of that sentence. I just want to live in a peaceful world where people aren't assholes. Yeah, that is why I'm actually making that video talking about these chuds and how deranged they are, and that it's not cool and it's not edgy, it's not funny, right? I'm speaking out against assholes, essentially. So we seem to agree. And I hate both the left and the right. By this point of the video, you should already understand that's bullshit. But in the beginning, he said, I am a chud incel. And being an incel in and of itself is not bad. It just means involuntary celibate. You're just unable to get some pussy. That doesn't make you a bad person. I don't look at you as any less because of that. What you decide to do as an incel and whether you radicalize or not, that is the part that matters. Are you a raging misogynist who's just angry at women because you cannot get laid, or can you just not get laid? Right? The first one is clearly worse. And then there's another comment I want to talk about from the last video, which is super funny. This guy said, being able to string two sentences together without being a raging misogynist and bathing is pretty much the baseline nowadays. And that Gen Z men have absolutely cooked themselves. And then this guy replied to him, thinking he's funny, I'm a raging misogynist and I'm happily married with children. And then he said, sucks to be your wife and kids, LMAO. Enjoy getting cucked in the near future. If not, more likely that it has happened already. Multiple times, probably. I thought that was so funny because it's true. Like, why are these weirdos, these deranged weirdos, trying to dictate what is cool and what is based, blah, blah, blah? Like, white people have seriously colonized the word based. Racist white people. They don't even know that it comes from African American communities, hip hop specifically, and they're just abusing it, and they're trying to dictate what is based and what is not and what is cool and what isn't. It's like, bro, I'm based. The guy that told y'all to take a fucking bath and stop being raging misogynist, he's based. We're not soft liberal cucks. You guys will be the ones getting cucked. If not already, you guys are weirdos. Women don't fuck with y'all. There's not a lot of women that want to be with racists and misogynists. Anyways, I think this shit is completely cooked, bro. These motherfuckers are cooked. And yeah, man, just let me know in the comments what y'all think. Like and subscribe if you want to. Peace.